Hi guys, it's me Pam and I'm a herbalist, nutritionist, dietitian and a chef, and today we are going to be talking to my friend Jules, who has a very, very severe garlic allergy. It is a very long video. I don't apologise for that at all, but she has a lot of information and I think it'd be really, really good for those who are interested to watch. Okay. I'm doing good. So for those of you who don't know, this is my friend Julie. We have been friends for nigh on 15 years ish.
Since we were children.
Yes, since we were children and our children were children and all of that kind of thing, you know.
I wish.
Yeah. But today we're going to talk about you.
Okay.
Because you have some very interesting things to talk about. And one of those is your major allergy. But what we're going to, how about you tell us a little bit about you first, for those who don't know you and haven't known you for as long as I have.
All right, so I'm from Australia, as the accent will give me away. I am 53 years old. Actually, no, I'm proud of my age. I'm 53.
Yeah.
I have two children who are both adults now, and I was a single mum with them from them being 4 and 5 years old. I was married to a sailor. I'm a musician. I run karaoke. Been doing that for nearly 30 years. So I love an audience.
Yahoo!
And that's
Ta-da! I give you a stage.
Hand me a stage. I'm happy with a microphone.
Awesome. Okay, so when did you first discover that you had some kind of something going on that you hadn't been going on before?
It was right at the time my daughter was 16 years old and got a job at Domino's Pizza.
Okay.
Which is big on the good old garlic.
Aha.
Garlic bread, garlic in all their sauces, and that's the point I discovered I'm allergic to garlic.
Was it something that you knew straight away, or was it something that you kind of figured it out?
I figured it out sort of as we went along. It initially started out that it just gave me an upset stomach.
Right.
And I'd feel a bit, and then I got a bit gassy.
Yeah.
And then it would get to really bad stomach cramps. And the more I was exposed, the worse the reactions became. And it was fairly simple to work it out as to what was causing it, because garlic bread, sweet chili sauce, all of these things where garlic was the common denominator within them. So I used to love pepperoni.
Yeah.
No more pepperoni for me. So it wasn't hard to work out what caused it, but it was pretty hard to rationalise I could no longer have it anymore.
Yeah.
But it then, the more I was exposed, so Nikki was 16, I was 42. So it's been 11 years since it started. And it eventually got to the point where I couldn't even tolerate the smell. And the smell started to make me feel sick. And I went through the whole progression again. From smelling it turned my stomach. Smelling it gave me cramps to the point that it was borderline anaphylactic, that would close my airways and make it difficult to breathe. And my face would go red, and yeah. So
wow.
It's progressed twice. So eating it progressed to the point that it caused those problems, and then smelling it progressed till it caused those problems.
Yeah.
So, and the doctor explained that the more I'm exposed, the worse the reaction will become. And there's nothing they can do to do a exposure therapy. Does not work.
Wow.
At all.
That's pretty scary, actually.
It can be.
Yeah.
Yeah, because how do you avoid the smell?
Yeah, because it's airborne, you know?
It's,
Yeah.
exactly.
So,
So,
how does that. So the doctors have said that they can't really do anything to help, but, you know, what about things like EpiPens and stuff like that?
well, I went through the process of trying to get an EpiPen,
Mm.
and the immunologist declined to describe one for me because apparently it's avoidable.
Okay.
They made me go through speech therapy. Can you imagine that?
Speech therapy.
Speech therapy.
Okay.
They sent speech therapist.
Right.
And I walked in and I spoke to her and she said, "You speak beautifully."
Yes.
I said, "I truly don't understand why I'm here."
Yeah.
And she taught me techniques to avoid the smell. And they're techniques I've been using for years.
Yeah.
Breathe through your mouth.
Yeah.
Don't breathe through your nose. Then you don't smell it. So I wasted about 8 visits to the speech therapist. But I did as I was told.
Yeah.
And yeah, so the problem is that breathing through my mouth for too long starts then making me feel lightheaded and dizzy.
Yeah.
So it's not something I can do long term.
No.
I can do it to walk into the supermarket past the Indian restaurant.
Yeah.
But if I need to linger out there for any length of time, I'm in trouble.
Yeah. So that would be like airborne particles of allium gas, kind of, that would be in there. So would that would have still have an effect if it's coming in through your mouth as well, to be honest?
At this point, not yet. I've got my fingers crossed it doesn't get to that point.
We're going to have to build you a bubble, love. You're going to be the girl in the bubble.
Yes.
So this has a major effect on your day-to-day life, because obviously there's restaurants everywhere, and, you know, whether they're, you know, tell us about how it affects you day to day, like from where you live to, you know, being able to eat out even, or getting from A to B.
Let's start with the eating out. It's virtually impossible.
Okay, why is that?
Because the fear of cross-contamination.
Right.
So my allergy is severe enough that if the food I'm eating is prepped on the same counter that hasn't been sanitized completely, my food is then contaminated.
Right.
If they put it into an oven that's previously had garlic in it, it's contaminated. If they drop it into cooking oil that's previously had garlic in it,
it's contaminated.
So if they don't clean the knife properly that they're cutting things with. I actually was having lunch in a cafe with my daughter, and she had a chicken schnitzel sandwich that had sweet chili sauce on it, and I was having a egg and lettuce sandwich, and I said to the woman, "Make sure you cut my sandwich first before you cut hers, or else it'll be contaminated." And I watched her cut Nikki's sandwich first. Then, without cleaning the knife, cut mine. So I made her remake the sandwich.
Yeah.
What she did, she went out the back, she took off the bread, took the filling out, put it back in the middle of the sandwich and recut it. It was still contaminated.
Wow.
At that time, I was doing some temp work with docs, and I went back to work and explained what had happened, and one of the social workers from docs rang the cafe and asked if her public liability insurance was up to date, because they were going to sue.
Wow. Wow.
They didn't go ahead with it, but they threatened.
Well, sometimes it's enough to put the scares up people, because, you know, as you know, I used to run a small bistro that was very much centered around being allergy friendly to as many people as possible, because we were based opposite an allergy center. So we had to be very careful, and we had sets of plates and cutleries and stuff like that that we kept separate from everything else for those people who needed very, very specialty looked after things.
Yeah.
So, you know, but not every kitchen's willing to do that for the odd person who might come in.
Yeah. Well, I'd say 95% of restaurants refuse to feed me when I explain my allergy.
Right.
They just outright refuse.
Okay.
Now, when it comes to takeaway food, I'm fine with the local fish and chip shop. I'm fine with the original menu of McDonald's.
Yeah.
Can't touch the chicken. I'm fine with most breakfast. Can't have the sausage. And a Porto is the only other. And I don't know if you guys have a Porto over there. I think it's only Australian.
Yeah, no, we don't have a Porto. We got Nando's though.
Right, well, my daughter works at Nando's.
She does. No.
So a Porto is similar to a Nando's, but on a more of a fast food basis.
Yeah.
And the only garlic in their food is in the sauces, so I just avoid the sauces and I'm okay.
Okay.
So they're the only two fast foods I can eat. A Porto isn't within Cooee of where I live.
Mm-hmm.
The nearest one's at Gateshead, which is the other side of the lake.
Yeah.
Or the other way is Cessnock.
Wow.
So that's not terribly convenient. So yeah, it's very limited on what I can do. But I will admit I've become a fairly good cook because I've had to learn to cook everything from scratch.
Yeah. You were a pretty good cook before.
Yeah, fairly good cook before. Not to your standard.
Oh, my standards dropped considerably in the last few years. I wouldn't worry about it too much.
But look, I've got to the point now where people invite themselves to dinner when they hear I'm cooking something specific.
Oh, well, that's cool. You know it's good then.
My day before my last birthday, I had a couple of extras here because they heard I was cooking enchiladas.
Ah, something that is famous for garlic.
I love Mexican food, but all of the pre-made stuff is riddled.
Yes.
It's all poison to me.
Yeah.
And in regards to where I live, getting back to the question, I live a block away from a KFC restaurant. And if the wind blows the wrong way, I sometimes have to evacuate my own house.
Ooh.
If my neighbours have a big cook-up, I sometimes have to evacuate my own house.
Ouch.
So they're pretty good, and they usually are aware. And if they're going to do something that's got a lot of garlic, they usually let me know.
Yeah.
But it does still happen.
Which is pretty good because a lot of people probably wouldn't.
I've got great neighbours.
Yeah.
They're really good.
Yeah.
Really good people.
So you're really lucky at where you live, that you've got that really supportive neighbour community kind of thing going on, because yeah, I can tell you now that where we live, be like, oh, is she dead? Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
It's affected my work.
Yeah.
I had to give up a karaoke show because the pub's menu was so heavy on garlic I couldn't be in the room. My last job I had working in a call centre for a local bank was absolutely fantastic for the first 14 months. The rules were no food in the call room.
Yeah.
Which worked great. I didn't ask them to put any restrictions on the kitchen. Even though I had to walk through the kitchen to get to the toilet, I used to carry a bandana with eucalyptus oil on it.
Right.
So I would hold that over my nose as I walked to the toilet and as I walked out. Then they suddenly decided that it would be a really fantastic idea to start doing reward days for the people in the call room and bring in pizza and garlic bread.
Oh.
And they said, oh, but we put the garlic bread way over the other side of the room away from you. It's an air-conditioned room.
Yeah.
Go straight up into the air conditioning and straight down. And I was sitting almost underneath an air conditioning outlet. So the second time I was hospitalised from their pizza and garlic bread day, they sort of sat me in an office and said, maybe this isn't the place for you to work.
Wow.
And I said, maybe if you just went back to your no food in the call room, we'd be okay.
Yeah.
The worst part of it was I worked 4 days a week. Sunday, Monday, Thursday, Friday.
Yeah.
They could have done Tuesday or Thursday when I wasn't there.
Yeah.
That was too simple. Now, it was much easier to ask me to leave my job.
Okay. Which is really sad because I remember when you had that job and you loved it. You really did enjoy it. Yeah.
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 Yeah, so I'd like to know, there was a woman up there who was allergic to the alcohol in hand sanitizer. So they banned it from the premises. It's still there how that's working with the whole COVID thing.
Wow.
Yeah. So now I'm trying to find a job where I can work from home so that I can monitor my environment.
Yeah.
But that's not as easy as it sounds.
No.
So that's most of the external problems I have to deal with on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, so what about where you don't expect it to be an issue? Like the butchers, for example, if you're buying just a plain packet of burgers or sausages that say they're just pork sausages or beef sausages or whatever, things like that.
That's where I really have to look out for the incidental ingredients.
Yeah.
So it might be things like, but my butcher's pretty good. If I need something that normally has garlic in it, if I let him know the day beforehand, he can create something for me that is safe.
Right.
So I'm pretty lucky there. But one day he said to me, I've got these new burger patties. There's no garlic in them. They'll be great. I said, okay. I trusted him and I brought them home. And I opened the bag and went, oh my God. And the bag's been tied up and sealed and put in the freezer for the kids to cook one day when Mum's not home.
Wow.
And when we looked at it later, it had sweet chili sauce in it.
Oh.
So I have to make sure I look at the ingredients list, not trust other people.
Yeah.
Because people don't realise Worcestershire sauce has garlic in it.
That's a major one as well because it's put in everything.
Yep. And sweet chili sauce, obviously. However, there is a company here in Australia, Fountain Sauces, who make a sweet chili sauce that has no garlic, and I love them for it. They actually have a full range. I can get satay sauce, plum sauce, a whole stack of different sauces.
Yeah.
And none of them have garlic in them.
Okay, so do they charge extra for that? Because a lot of free-from stuff and a lot of things that are specifically not got onion or garlic or stuff like that in them are more expensive for some reason. So it's just the normal range?
$2.80 for a bottle of sweet chili sauce.
Okay, so that's like the normal range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about the same price as all of the other sauces on the shelf.
Which is good.
So I'm pretty happy.
That is really good.
Always liked Fountain.
Yeah, this video is not sponsored in any way, shape or form, just so we know.
But, no, it's not sponsored. However, there is a company that is thinking of other people, and it's nice to give them a little bit of...
Absolutely, absolutely. And information shared is always a good thing, especially with things like this. Yeah.
Exactly. However, if Fountain does want to sponsor you...
Yes, if they would like to, that would be wonderful, because I can only get their tomato and barbecue, I think, from a company called Sansa, which is an import company that is... Sansa stands for South Africa, New Zealand and Australia, and they have imported things. Right. So, yeah, I think it's only the barbecue and their tomato sauce that's available. through Sansa. So anyone in the UK who needs that dip, go there, but it's not as cheap as Jules gets it. I'm just saying it's closer to a $5 a bottle, but for you it may be worth it. So crack on.
So yes, I can't trust other people to read ingredients lists. I have to look at it myself.
Yeah.
So that's I've learned that one a couple of times when people have said, "Oh no, it doesn't say garlic here," but
yeah,
it's been an incident. But luckily, my sense of smell picks it up before it gets too bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a good thing. So, is it just garlic that you have an issue with? What about other alliums? Is it like leeks and chives and onions and wild garlic or ransoms or whatever and shallots?
As far as I know, it's only garlic. However, I do have a slight upset with fresh chives. Dried chives, I'm fine.
Yeah.
But fresh cause me a little bit of stomach upset. So I've stopped using them just so it doesn't progress any further like the garlic did.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm fine with onion and I'm fine with all that other stuff. Thank heaven, because I love them. But I loved garlic too, so who knows?
Well, this is true. This is true. But it could be also, chives do have a higher allium chemical thing closer to garlic than onion does. So it could be along their chemical makeup is very similar, which is why some of them are called garlic chives because they're the flatter ones, but they're very similar to garlic itself. So it's possible that that's why.
And perhaps the drying process reduces the
it does,
issue.
Well, it evaporates some of it off, doesn't it? So a lot of that fresher. See, that's what I find with Glenn is that I can use powders with him. So garlic powder and onion powder. And he doesn't have as much of a reaction as long as they're put into a sauce. If they're dry fried, he has to evacuate. But if they're actually put into something, he's okay and he can even eat it. So that makes life easier in some respects. Yeah.
Interesting. I would be interested to find out from your viewers, comments and so forth, if anybody else who has a similar allergy to me, to the alliums or the garlic or the onions or whatever, whether they are allergic to penicillin.
Right.
Because I am allergic to penicillin.
Yeah.
And there is a component in garlic called psyllin.
Yes.
And that could potentially be what is causing part of the problem with my allergy.
It could.
Because the penicillin reaction is the more you're exposed, the worse the reaction gets.
Yes.
And that's the same it's working with the garlic with me.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see if there are any other people that have a similar situation.
Yeah.
To find out whether it's causal or coincidental. Yeah,
so please, if anyone does have these issues, please do pop them down in the comments. Or even if you don't, just let us know, you know. Either way, it'd be good to know. So when I did originally want to do this and started investigating and researching and stuff for this project, I put a little call out on Facebook, and every single person that answered about having some kind of an allium reaction have all said that it started later in life. This is not something that's come from childhood. It's definitely something that has been happening midlife or 30s.
Or
Later on in life. It's not been something from childhood. It's always been something that's occurred, which I think in a lot of respects makes it more difficult because you're so used to having a certain thing. You know, it's like when you've been told, oh yes, you've got IBS and you can't have this and you can't have that and you shouldn't have this. And it's like, oh. And people don't know what to do anymore. So they're kind of confused because they're used to going, oh, I'll put this up. No, I can't. So.
But I also wonder, sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, no, it's cool.
Older people like myself, I'm probably past middle age, headed into older age. Because, you know, at 53, to get to 106 would be pretty miraculous. In our childhood, garlic wasn't used as much.
No, it wasn't.
Certainly not home.
Mm.
You know, the home cooking was a lot plainer. Mum didn't reach for the minced garlic out of the fridge
Yeah.
in our day as much as it's done now.
Yeah.
So that could also partially...
It could
Yeah,
be.
we weren't exposed as much when we were young. It may have hit earlier if we had have been.
Yeah. There is actually in Ayurvedic medicine, which is the Indian version of herbal medicine, they say that you shouldn't have onion and garlic together. And in fact, the religious aspect of this form of herbal medicine, they are not permitted to have onion and garlic together because apparently it creates a too hot reaction within the body.
Okay, then half of Italy should be having a problem.
Yeah, but see that's the thing as well. I mean, that's, to me, it's one of those allergies that seems to occur. You know, as you said, when we were younger, food was a lot plainer. We weren't really exposed to it a lot. It was something that we had every now and again. And this is, you know, in Asia, you've got people who are naturally lactose intolerant because they're weaned and never have dairy again.
Yeah.
Once they've weaned, it's not natural for them to have goat and cow milk on a regular basis. They tend to go for nut milks or water or other teas and things like this. It's not a natural thing for them to have, and cheese certainly isn't either. Whereas in Western world, we eat dairy like it's so much. Dairy's everywhere. Whereas if you give someone who has lived that life of not having dairy on a regular basis afterwards, that they can have a little bit, you know, and occasionally, but it's not something they have on a daily basis. They have become naturally lactose intolerant, and I'm wondering if this is kind of almost like the opposite of that. Is we've suddenly added something to our diets where it's not, it's becoming an issue because it's not something that we're supposed to have every day.
Yeah. Because
at the end of the day, garlic is a big medicine thing, and it's very big on antimicrobial, antibiotic, that kind of, you know, it's very much a medicinal type of food. So really having it every day, is it really something, unless you've grown up with it every day, is it really something that we should be having every day?
Well, doctors are telling us more and more we shouldn't be relying so heavily on antibiotics because our body is just building up a tolerance, and we're eventually going to hit a microbug that nothing's going to work on. Yeah. So resorting to antibiotics every 5 seconds isn't a good thing. So resorting to a medicinal herb is probably the same thing.
Yeah. So it's another question of everything in moderation and treating your food as medicine rather than as, you know, we can have, it's there, I can eat it sort of thing. So so it's just a kind of thought that I've been thinking, especially with doing all the study I've been doing, and I've been reading a lot of stuff that I wouldn't normally read, and it's kind of going into a level of, okay, well, I want a deeper understanding of what's going on as far as allergies are concerned and their progression or ability to be gotten rid of, and what is causing them. You know, things like the kids who seem to have a lot of peanut allergies have tended toward, whereas when we were kids, we weren't allowed nuts until we were 5 years old and over.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that?
Oh, I love peanut butter my whole life. I've always loved peanut butter. It was a big thing. My dad always gave me peanut butter sandwiches, so I would assume I got that from quite young.
5 is quite young. But nuts themselves, definitely in our house, we weren't allowed to have nuts until we were 5 because number one, they were a choking hazard. Number two, they had things in them that could have caused some kind of reaction that apparently youngsters don't have the right enzymes to properly digest certain foods properly. So I don't know.
I don't
know. See, that was another thing. But
my parents didn't have a great start in life with me to start with anyway because I'm adopted.
Right.
And I was lactose intolerant as a young child.
Yeah.
So how do you cope with a lactose intolerant baby 53 years ago when the formulas weren't quite what they are now?
Yeah.
And the first go-to was cow's milk.
Yes.
Luckily, we lived in a little country town where they could access goat's milk and sheep's milk.
Yeah.
So they were lucky.
Yeah.
But
you were lucky.
Yes, I was lucky. I was lucky. I needed to out all food. But yeah, so I mean that's sort of having to think outside of the box. I don't know that Mum and Dad were really that worried about whether I choked on a peanut or not. But I think predominantly it was peanut butter that I had, not the actual.
Yeah, peanuts themselves. Yeah.
My dad got me hooked on peanut butter and honey sandwiches, and that's still a big fallback for me. I love them. Yes,
peanut butter, honey, and banana.
Haven't tried that.
That's a really good one. That's one of my go-tos. I have to admit.
It's working.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's but I also think there's so many more allergies in this world because we've sanitized the heck out of it.
Yes. And what we haven't sanitized, we've poisoned.
Yes. When we were kids, we used to drink out of the garden hose. Now you'd go in fits if your child was caught drinking out of the garden hose.
Yeah, well, you remember the really big drought while I was living in Gatton up in Queensland. And it was so bad that we were on water restrictions of only 5 litres per person in the household per day.
Okay.
So no showers, no baths, nothing like that was allowed. We were only allowed 5 litres of drinking water per day per person. That had to do for your cooking as well.
Okay.
When the reservoir refilled, because we had a big rain, the kids still couldn't have a shower for about 2 weeks because there was so much chlorine in the water, it was burning them in the shower. It was awful. It was really, really awful. And it was kind of at that point that I thought, yeah, I think I need to get a distiller. And I wish I had a rain tank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if the drought's that bad, your rain tank would have been empty.
It probably would have been. But at least when we did have water, we could have, it would have been drinkable.
Our water supply here has just gone back up to 99%
Yeah.
full, but they're still keeping some water restrictions in place.
Yeah.
Mainly because it's just good for the environment not to waste it.
Yeah.
And but we were we're only allowed 4-minute showers.
Wow.
Yeah. And they sent out little egg timers to every household that you'd stick on the wall with a suction cup in your shower and you'd flip it, and that's how long you had for your shower.
Wow.
And they were advertising on the radio saying, pick your favourite song and shower in that time.
You could do Lovely Day. That's 12 minutes long.
No, they actually on their website put out a list of 4-minute songs.
That's just ruining everyone's fun, isn't it?
Well, I don't listen to the radio in the shower. I can sing, which means I can sing as long as I like. Hallelujah on repeat.
Yeah. Whatever works, isn't it? At the end of the day. But yeah.
I could always pull out Paradise by the Dashboard Light. There's about 7.5 minutes. Beatles medal at 8.5.
Yes. There is. there's a medley that we've got at the moment that's 4.5 hours long.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a 90s medley, and it's actually
Okay.
4.5 hours long.
The longest song available on karaoke that I am aware of is Bob Dylan's Hurricane, which is 14 minutes.
Wow.
Not on my list. Oh, that disc got scratched.
Oops.
So sorry. But you're not working on disc, you're working on computer. Oh, but they were all copied off a disc.
Oh my goodness. Wow. So, yeah, getting back to the topic.
Yes, I know we do this often, don't we?
We do tend to backtrack, but it's all good, and it's, you know, this is us chewing the fat about stuff. So, you know, predominantly about allium allergies and how it's affecting you and that kind of thing. Because right back when I met you is when this all kicked off, really.
Yes.
Yeah, it was only probably the year before or something around there, because our boys were at school together, that this had only just kicked off, because I remember you'd said to me that you needed to check the labels still, because you still didn't know exactly what had what in it and things like that.
Yeah.
And, you know, at that point it was not making you feel very well.
That's it.
Yeah.
It was still just the turn stomach point at that. It was right
Yeah.
back to very.
Yeah.
So that's when you came to my rescue.
I did.
Gave me a place, gave me a roof over my head.
I did. Cause how could I not? Because she's awesome, you know.
Have my moments.
Yeah, but you taught me a lot as well, you know, because I've always been interested in food allergies and stuff like that, and I was producing them in my place before it was popular to do so. And I was pretty much the only place in Canberra where you could be served if you had an allergy and wanted to, you know, eat a normal meal, you know. So yeah, I do get it. And I'm aware that, I mean, like, I've worked in places that really wouldn't cater to anybody who had an issue at all. And I remember, because when I did the whole home cook of the year thing and had to go down to Sydney, and at that point I was being completely plant-based. I had no gluten in my diet, I had no lactose in my diet, it was all completely plant-based. And we went up to the restaurant up at Sky City, and they'd been told this, and I literally got given the same salad on 3 different plates, with a fruit salad for dessert that looked exactly like the salads, except it was done in fruit. It's like, really, guys? This is supposed to be a 3-hat place, you know? Really? Yeah. But that was what, 11 years ago. Things have changed dramatically, and a lot of places are a lot more tolerant. They do cater a lot better now than they did then, and things are getting better. But, you know, I still find it difficult that free from foods are more expensive, you know, than even buying things from overseas. Buying imported products is cheaper than buying free from products, which
and
is
you can grow
silly.
your own to a certain degree.
Yes.
Not everything will grow wherever you happen to be living.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, my dad tries. He's a very good gardener. He's had some excellent tomato crops. He can grow spring onions like there's no tomorrow. But everything else he's been struggling with lately. And it's just because of the weather conditions here are so harsh.
Yeah.
You know, the summers are very hot and very dry. And the winters are very mild. They're pretty awesome.
Want to swap?
That's it. Sorry, I won't brag on that one.
Yeah. We had snow 2 days ago, you know? It's like April, come on.
We're going to be just shy of 30 tomorrow. That's Celsius. So,
Go off some people, you know.
Honestly, I think I prefer the snow.
Yeah. Well, I was quite pleased I hadn't actually put anything into the ground yet that I would cry over if, you know, we lost, because I would rather wait the extra couple of weeks now that this has happened and wait. And yes, we'll have a shorter growing season, but it means that we will definitely have what it is that we want. So I would rather do that than start sticking stuff in the ground just because I can. And it's that time of the year, and that's what it says on the packet, and that's what everybody else says to do. So we're just going to do it our way as well as we can. Yes, doesn't mean that we're going to get brassicas right away. It means we're going to have to wait till autumn and put them in then, or late summer or whatever, and, you know, just have to deal with it. But yeah, for where we are, because we don't have a greenhouse, a polytunnel, or anything like the kind of windows that we need for windowsills, it's just dealing with what we've got and having to do it that way. So yeah,
my problem is that I'm good at an awful lot of things, but growing plants is not one of them. I have black thumbs. There's nothing green about them at all. I managed to not kill the geraniums.
They're almost not killable, you know this, right?
That's about the only thing I can manage. Actually, I've got aloe vera that's going really well.
Well, again, something that's very difficult to kill, so...
and I think the hippiastrums are coming up again, but that's about it. Nothing else has survived. So, yeah, gardening's not my thing.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's okay.
Strangely, though, when I lived in Western Australia, I had an amazing herb garden.
Yeah.
Because it had an incredible client, and I had bore water, and everything was set up on timers to water it on time, and yeah.
You didn't have to worry about it, and you didn't forget it, and it was all done. Yeah.
That's it. So, but anyway, growing things isn't an option for me.
Yeah.
But it is for some people.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I also have to make sure I keep an eye on is changing recipes.
Yeah.
If I'm going around the supermarket, the praise mayonnaise that I could buy 2 years ago now I can't have.
Wow.
Because they've started putting garlic in it. So, but 2 years ago I didn't. So even on things I've been using for a long time, I have to stop and check the label every time I buy it.
Yeah.
So, and you know, that whole problem with old age and very small printing on jars. But I've come up with a solution for that. On the camera on my phone, I can zoom in.
That is genius. Absolute genius. Well done. That is very cool.
Well, it's better than having glasses and put them on and
yeah, take a picture and zoom. Brilliant.
But you don't even have to take the photo, you just zoom in while you've got it there, and you can go around the jar and read it. It's like a magnifying glass.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
So that works for me.
Yeah.
But other than that, you know, the fact that my grocery shopping takes me twice as long as anybody else, and the neighbours also having to be aware of what they're cooking, my friends having to be aware of what they're serving me.
Yeah.
I had a couple of really awesome friends who completely de-garliced their Christmas lunch so I could go and have Christmas lunch with them.
That's very sweet. That is
really
very cool. Yeah.
It really is. And because my family's a little bit odd and we don't do Christmas on Christmas Day, we do it on Boxing Day.
Yeah.
But that's just a split family thing, and we won't go into that. I was going to be sitting at home, well, Josh and I were going to be home by ourselves on Christmas Day, and Scott insisted we go up there. So
cool.
He completely de-garlicked the meal.
Fantastic.
Which was awesome.
That is pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so, but, it affects a lot of different things that people wouldn't think of. I mean, had my job provider ring me up, well, we've got this job coming up. Okay, it's in Mayfield. Where in Mayfield? Well, we don't know that yet. Okay, well, I can't really make a decision until I know where it is.
Yeah.
And why? I said, well, if it's located next to an Indian or an Italian or a Thai restaurant, I can't go there. Oh, why not? And then I have to go through the whole explanation again.
Yeah.
So all of those things have to be taken into consideration.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I don't know. It's quite an impact.
Yeah.
But you adapt. Have a choice.
Well, exactly. But you do have a very accommodating Chinese place near you, don't you?
I do, and we actually had dinner there last night. Yes, last night. Yeah, they have said that they will cook anything on their menu without garlic for me. And which, of course, my son had to plug up and said, no, you can't. You can't do the garlic prawns. But that's the Asperger's in Josh part.
Yeah, it is.
But no, they are fantastic. I just have to say, they do a Hindu steak, which I love, and I just say, I'm allergic to garlic, and they do that, and they add a chili into it, and they package it separately and everything. So the others can still have their garlic meal. I just have to stay separated from them to eat it.
Yeah.
And mine is kept completely separate.
That's fantastic.
They are great that they will do that.
Shall we give them a plug? Because I think you should, because businesses that are willing to do that, because there's not many places around that are willing to do things like that.
There's actually a place I'll give up as well, but it's the Dragon Sky Chinese in Toronto in New South Wales.
Right. Newcastle. Yeah.
Lake Macquarie.
Lake Macquarie, yeah.
The other one that went out of the way was Pippi's at the Point.
Okay.
I went in there one night. I was working in there doing a karaoke show.
Mm.
And I went around to the restaurant and said, what on your menu doesn't have garlic? And he said, nothing. It's in everything. And I said, okay, fine, don't worry about it. And he said, why? And I said, well, I'm allergic. He said, I will get you a meal you can eat. And he went out the back and he got a brand new knife, a brand new frying pan, and a brand new cutting board. Completely out of the packaging, and cooked me a steak.
Wow.
And I thought that was pretty special.
That is pretty special, actually. That is really, really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and the steak and salad he did for me with the new cutting board, new knife, and yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So I have to give Pippi's at the Point a little plug for that one too.
Yeah.
A lot of other places just wouldn't bother. They
No.
No, we can't help serve you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the bit that irks me, because like it stops you being able to be as social as you might want to be. You know, you have to think about if people are going out to dinner and stuff, and you've been invited out to dinner with them and stuff like that. You know, can you go?
Largely the answer is no, because most pubs, restaurants, whatever, the garlic is in the air.
Yeah.
These I went to school with were having a girls only reunion dinner.
Right.
One night.
Mm.
And I couldn't go to the dinner, but one of them shot me a text as they were finished with the meal, and I went in and joined them for dessert.
Oh, that's cool.
So I can do that type of thing. But I've missed 90% of the night.
Yeah.
But at least I was still included.
Yeah. And that's important too, is the inclusion, because even though, you know, people know that you're probably going to say no, being asked is just as important.
Exactly.
You know, assuming that you can't and just saying, well, no, we're not going to invite her because of this, you know, just really doesn't help you, and isn't as thoughtful as people think it is. It's the actual act of asking is as important, I think, for your mental health as well. You know, to feel as if you're not as alone and you're not being neglected and people are avoiding you and all this kind of thing. So, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not that my mental health is an issue. I'm pretty good with me.
Yeah, we will talk about that in a completely another
That's
video
not...
because that is something out of this world. Yeah. But yeah.
Yes.
But we will do a complete video on that.
You're 100% right, because to be excluded because of something that's completely out of your control.
Yes.
It's almost as bad as being bullied.
Yes.
It's a sort of like an anti-bullying, if you like it.
Yeah.
Put it that way. So,
yeah.
You know, you're just being ignored because you don't fit in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or you can't fit in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you could see the inside of my handbag, I've got 4 different types of antihistamine.
Yeah.
That I have to carry with me. That if I find myself in a place that I cannot function, I have to take all 4 types of antihistamine.
Wow.
Yeah. 1, 2, or 3 don't work. It has to be the combination of all 4.
Wow.
So,
wow.
Very dear friend of mine is panicking over my anaphylactic reactions.
Yeah.
And actually went out earlier this week and paid full price for an EpiPen for me.
Yeah.
To have on hand so she feels better. She feels safer around me.
Yeah.
If there's an EpiPen.
So this is something that people in this country won't understand, is that even though there is Medicare in Australia, which is very similar to the NHS and the free medical system, you still have to pay a certain level for things, whether you get a refund on that or a percentage of a refund on that, is possible, not always probable. And an EpiPen at full price is how much?
$80.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money, and she's on a pension too. She's on an age pension.
Wow.
So she's got a very limited income.
Yeah.
And I will pay her back for it. But
yeah.
I'm just not in a situation at the moment. I can pay it straight up.
Yeah.
I didn't work a week. Because of Easter.
Yeah.
And the pubs were closed, I couldn't work, so I didn't have income.
Yeah.
But I will pay her back for it. But it was a matter of, I said to her, oh no, well, we know where we can get it. I'll get it when I get paid. No, I'm getting it now. It's like, Lynn, thank you, but I'll get it when I get paid. No, I'm getting it now. I will feel better if we have it. Okay.
You're not going to argue with someone like that, are you?
No. She cares. And that's awesome.
And that's what matters, is knowing that you have people around you, and a support network is really, really, really important. Even if it's just someone who's going to be there, you can bend their ear for as long as possible, you know, or as long as you need to at whatever time of day or night it is, you know, that's important. But having people who actually do things like that as well, I mean, as much as they're sweet and you don't expect them, they're not always necessary, but you know, it's really nice to have people like that around you, and so very important.
It is. And I mean, one of my faults is that I'm a very independent person, and if I can't do it for myself, I don't want to do it, sort of thing. And it actually took a bit of persistence for her for me to agree. Yeah. And I think even if I hadn't have agreed, she would have gone ahead and done it anyway.
I have a feeling you're probably very right there.
Yes.
Yeah.
But in the end, I had to bite the bullet and go, okay, Lynn, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was the right thing to do, to say yes.
Yeah.
But it was hard. It was hard.
It is hard when you've had to be independent. I think a lot of your independence as well has come from having to be, you know, and like myself, having to be independent. And when you find yourself in a situation where you need help, it makes it a lot harder to ask for it. or to accept it even when it's offered and you haven't asked for it, you know, because you don't know what it's going to come with.
Yes. Actually, I think that's largely what it is. You've got too many people in the past who have done something as a favour and then expected something in return.
Yeah, which isn't a favour, that's business.
That's it. That's it. And I know full well that this lady, Lynn, is not going to be in like that. It's not in her. She's doing it purely because it's the right thing to do. Yeah. And she's not going to ask for anything in return because she's a sweetheart.
Yes.
I think it is. It's conditioning and what's happened to us in the past.
Yeah.
That brings us to this point.
Which I think is also an important thing to remember, that not everybody are those people.
No. But it's that a few rotten apples spoil the bunch.
Yes.
You know, 95% of the world is fantastic.
Yes.
But that 5% screw it up for everybody else.
Yes. The onanists.
Yes.
The onanists.
Yes. That's it. That's it. But, no, it's certainly been an interesting life I've led, and it's in a very interesting place now. Yeah. Never a dull moment. But hopefully I'll be coping with it for many years to come.
I'm sure you will be. I'm sure you will be.
No, I will be.
Too bloody stubborn not to.
You tell me I can't do something and you just watch me.
Yeah, we'll be pill swapping on our rocking chairs in no time. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I can see it now.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah, I'll give you 3 white ones for a blue one.
The staff will be hopping and monitoring. They'll have someone in our room permanently.
Yeah.
Not to be left unattended.
They are not to be unattended. They are only allowed supervised visits between each other.
And you're not to be in the same room.
No. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so very much for talking with me today about this, because I really do appreciate it, and I think it's important to have this information from your point of view, or someone like yourself who has been through as much as you have with it, so that other people can see that they're not alone, and they can see what processes there are and have a bit more understanding of unknown allergies like alliums and stuff, which isn't really seen as a big one, but it is.
The number of people that I come across and say, "Oh, I've never heard of that allergy before."
Yeah,
it's quite amazing.
Yeah,
quite amazing. So, and if anybody has any further questions, I'm happy to answer.
Yeah, so please do put them in the comments below. Yeah,
I'll be keeping an eye on things, and if there's enough questions, maybe we can do this again.
We could. Yeah,
it could be dangerous.
It could be fun.
It's always fun.
It's always fun. All right, my darling. I will see you. Well, I will talk to you later on. I'm going to stop the recording here, and
okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Thanks, everyone. See you later.
So there we go, guys. I hope that you really enjoyed this video, this little chat that Jules and I had about her allergy, and that you learned something from it. If you have, please do subscribe to the channel and give us a thumbs up, and leave a comment below for any of the questions that we asked, because we will go back and have a look and answer as many as possible. It'll be very, very fascinating. So yeah, we will see you another time. See you later, guys. Hello, it's me, Pam, and today I'm going to be... Oh, sod!